Hey guys, I'm Torie, and you're listening to That Girl, the podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in because the new episode is starting now. What is up, you guys? It's your girl, Torie, and I'm back with a whole new podcast episode. In today's podcast episode, we are going to be talking about how to master the art of soft living. Now, if you don't know what soft living is, we will get into that in a second. It is a whole plethora of things. We will talk about the definition, we'll give examples, we will talk about pros and cons, and finally we will talk about what I am doing to practice soft living more in my personal life. But before we get into that, of course, as per usual, we have to talk about my life updates. Well, we don't have to talk about them, but we get to talk about them because it's my podcast. Yo, what's up? So as I mentioned, it's Grace Torie here. If you are new, I'm the host of this podcast. Hey, and I give life updates. I don't know. What am I talking about? It is such a Wednesday. My brain's not working today. I just got off work. I had to run to Kroger and get my bunnies vegetables for their late night snack because they're out. I got some flowers from my house, and it wasn't a bad trip. I'm just so tired, got off work. Now I'm tired, but it's fine. Let's get into these official life updates that I actually wrote down. So the first one is that the podcast threw a temper tantrum this week. That was really fun. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to follow me on Instagram right now at thatgirlthepod because that is where I talk about it. Or any updates, really. But basically what happened was the past 2 podcast episodes didn't upload to Spotify at all. And so for some reason, I didn't notice. And I found out that the episodes that did upload, it only uploaded half of the episode, even though it told me it uploaded the full episode. So, had to fix that. Learned a lot of things that I didn't initially know how to do, which was great. It was a good challenge, fun exercise. Wouldn't recommend having to go through it again though, Next in life updates, the weather has been nicer, which has been really great. It was 60 yesterday, low 50s today. Much better than the 30s and the freezing we've been dealing with. Went outside with the dogs yesterday, got to spend lunch outside with them today. And that was really nice. So I'm really excited about that. I feel like I'm slowly starting to come back to life now that the weather's getting a little bit nicer. And it's only February, so I'm not going to hold my breath. And I also am kind of not over the snowy weather yet. So, But it was just a nice change. A little bit of warm weather. A nice little unexpected treat for the week. But yeah, there's really not much going on. I've been trying to embrace soft living, eat a little healthier, be a little healthier if you saw my last episode. And just really practice living in the moment and being more present. So before I jump in, like I mentioned, don't forget to subscribe or follow, depending on what platform you're on. And follow my Instagram and TikTok at thatgirlthepod to have fun content all the time. As well as join a community of girlies working to become the best version of ourselves. Whatever that means to you, what goals you're working towards, we will help you get there with no judgment. We are just a fun community of gals. So jumping right in, what is the definition of soft living? Well, according to Urban Dictionary, it is the act of simply living a life with less stress, worry, and concern, making better decisions that benefit your overall well-being. You don't prioritize fitting in, following trends, and you're just here to live your divine purpose. I think everyone is trying to make noise right now between the dogs, the neighbors, my laptop. But we're trying, guys. I need padded soundproof walls, I swear. So, with that example in mind, there are quite a few definitions. Even Urban Dictionary had multiple ones. I thought that was the best one that encompassed it. It's just living softer, not really getting as stressed about the little things, being happier, being more in a feminine energy, honestly, to put it. You just romanticize your life and you just are happier with less. It's just simple. Everything's simple. So, yeah, I'm going to give you some examples that I came up with as well as kind of sourced that really put soft living into perspective. So the first thing is scheduling and prioritizing more self-care. You're viewing rest through a more positive lens. So for me, resting is really, really hard. I'm a workaholic. Rest is kind of like a means to an end. But when you have a soft life, It's more of a thing you look forward to, you're grateful for it. It's just a necessity in life rather than a chore. And so you look at it through that lens. You also stop sweating the small stuff. What I mean by that is you protect your energy and you're more careful about what you give your energy to. So you kind of say to yourself, am I going to give my energy to this problem, or am I just going to let it slide? Am I going to stress about that, or am I going to let it slide? You're less bothered by little things. You do your best and stop relying on outside factors for validation. Your best is your best. You know yourself, you trust yourself, and if your best is not enough, you will know. But you don't rely on others to tell you what your best should be or what your best is. You don't seek that outside validation to let you know if what you're doing is right or wrong. You just simply do what you know you are capable of doing. And another final example that I'm going to list is you let go of needing to control everything. You just more flow with the life instead of needing to control the life. I don't know why I called it the life and not just life, but it's fine. Everything's fine. Do you guys hear all of these cars? If you hear all the cars in my neighborhood just zooming by, I am so sorry. Don't know why that's happening and why it's happening more than usual. So next we're going to talk about pros and cons. Here are some pros. There's less stress in your life. You just are less stressed because less things bother you. You're happy with less because the little things make you happier, honestly. So you don't need anything crazy to feel happy. Some people would argue that it's the opposite, though, because there is a certain aesthetic that is associated with soft living that some people would try and purchase, or why does my laptop just keep beep bopping off? Anyway, there is a certain lifestyle associated with it, and some people think that it is rather luxurious. I don't associate my thoughts with this lifestyle, but the soft living image that I have in my head, I think, is very different than what other people have. Like, I personally picture like a cottagecore, whereas some people may picture that very modern, sleek, white look with candles and fur and things like that. Like the fur blankets, you know what I'm talking about? I don't know why I picture that. But if that's what you're picturing, I can see arguing that it is very luxurious and you need more to fit that lifestyle. But at the end of the day, it's not about the aesthetic. So I'll get to that. But yeah, I think that you feel more grateful because you're happier with less, because you realize you don't need those things. Also, you begin to feel grateful in the moment more often. You realize that all you have is this moment and there's no really reason to stress. Obviously, stressing a healthy amount is different, but being anxious, keeping yourself up at night when you should just be living in this moment because that's all you have, is kind of something that you begin to think about. You also begin to value quality over quantity. You don't really worry about how much, you just worry about the quality of it. So like, maybe you don't have 100 friends, but the 3 friends you have are the best friends in the entire world that you could ever ask for. You also are more independent and confident because your self-worth isn't rooted in outside validation. You practice self-care, so you feel like you are living up to a certain standard that you have set for yourself. You just trust yourself more. Like I mentioned, there are some cons with this. People may perceive you differently when you stop playing into that societal idea of what you should be doing and what your expectations should be. Also, it can impact your drive and motivation to work hard or sacrifice certain things to become whatever society has told you need to be. Like, for example, anxiety is what pushes me to work harder a lot of the time. So if I have less anxiety about things, I'm not going to work as hard because that fear is not instilled in me. But I could argue you shouldn't do something out of fear. Like, you shouldn't work harder because you're scared. You should work harder because you genuinely want to. But that is something, if you procrastinate because of anxiety or things like that, you don't have that same weight on your shoulders to get things done. So you could be less motivated if that's what typically motivates you. But you honestly just need to learn to put your motivation in something different, which is something I'm learning. Just a little side note. It can be an excuse to not do things. For example, I'm living a soft life. I need to practice this soft life where I need to go read a book and calm down. So I'm going to do this hard thing, like work hard or get this email with this difficult person. I'm going to do that tomorrow. That is what you should not be doing. And too much of anything is a bad thing, which is kind of like you need to balance your soft life between reality and taking on stressors, even though you know they're going to stress you out. But that is something that can happen if you take it too far. And a final con is you can begin to think any stress you have can be ignored, which is kind of what I was saying. You still need to face your problems. You can't ignore stressors. You will be less stressed about things that don't matter. But that doesn't mean that you should just kind of say nothing matters, if that makes any sense. You still have a healthy amount of stress, but you're not focusing on things that will literally don't matter, which is what I typically do. In conclusion, for the cons, too much of anything is usually a bad thing. I wouldn't adopt a soft life to the point that you never expect to work hard or have an exhausting day again. Life's still going to be hard. However, for those of us that are workaholics, aka me, or who struggle with relaxing, again, me, adopting some soft living tactics can help you learn to find balance in day-to-day life, which is essentially what I'm doing. I'm learning to balance more romanticizing of my life, more soft living, more slowing down, rather than being go, 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 panicking, crying, being frustrated, being in that masculine energy all the time. It's literally all about balance, always, in every situation. I feel like I say that every episode, anytime I'm giving advice. It's all about balance. That being said, here are some of the ways that I have adopted soft living with a practically non-existent budget. I haven't really spent any money on this. It's just like a mindset or things I've implemented. The number one thing is I used to get so mad at Josh if I would ask him for help with something and he wouldn't do it within the first hour. Or if he didn't do things, period, like little things. I would get so mad at him. I'd be like, well, why didn't you help me clean this? I asked you to an hour ago. Why didn't you do this? I asked you to. Why didn't you do this? I asked you to. And I would just get so upset. I would notice that he didn't do it and it would ruin my entire day. I've stopped doing that. I've just kind of started trusting him and saying, okay, he didn't do it immediately, but I need to trust that he's going to do it. And I need to give him the space to do it. I need to just put trust instead of assuming he's not going to do it if he didn't do it immediately. And by sitting back and kind of giving him the opportunity to do it, I found that he won't only do it, but he'll go above and beyond. He just needs to do it on his own time. So that is a big lesson I've learned. And it's also like, don't sweat the small stuff. I'm not stressing over this. Could I? Yeah, probably. But I don't need to. I have bigger things to worry about. Well, honestly, I shouldn't be worrying about anything. But if I had to prioritize my stress, that should not be on the list. Stop stress buying home decor. Just stop. It's more about filling the house with love and memories and different just time that you spent with the people who make your house a home than the interior design and the material things. Does it curate a certain aesthetic? Yes. Do I want that aesthetic? Yes. But I'll get there eventually. I don't need to stress buy home design or home decor every time I start to feel like my house isn't a home. I moved around so much when I was younger, up until literally now. We have decided to stay here another year, and that was a big deal because we both moved around a lot. And with that, I kind of calmed down a bit, and I realized that I don't need to stress buy home decor. I don't need to panic and buy things because it's not like we're leaving anytime soon. We at least have another year, a little over a year. So what's the rush? I need to stop stressing about what my bookshelves look like and spend the time that I would spend freaking out over it, watching a movie with Josh on the couch. Those memories are what make my house a home. What's on the bookshelf is nice, and it, like I said, it contributes to the environment and the coziness, but it's not the final decision maker, and it's not the most important at all. So that was a big thing that I'm trying to do to adopt soft living, is just be present in those memories more instead of spending them anxious and freaking out, or spending all my money on things that aren't the most important thing. Clean more. My environment is important to a certain extent, but it's not the things I'm buying, it's living in a clean environment. I have found that if my house is clean and I can light a candle and I'm calm, I'm happy, I'm good. I can read a book, I can crochet, I don't need anything else. So if cleaning more is what gets me to that state where I'm less anxious, I'm calm, I'm happy, then that's what I'm going to do. So I have been doing that more. As well as cleaning more, I've been eating cleaner, more natural. It's just better for so many reasons. The aesthetic makes me happy. When I eat cleaner, I feel better. I'm in a better mood, which makes me less anxious. It's better for the environment. There's just so many reasons why I'm trying to eat cleaner, getting healthier. But I've been cooking more at home. There's just so many reasons for living a more natural life when it comes to eating. Candles and drinking tea at night. On that same note, lighting is so important. I've been putting I've mentioned this before, but our nightstands and our headboard light up, and I've been setting them to the red light setting, and then I've been lighting a candle and turning out the light in my room after like 8 p.m. It helps me sleep better, which is really important, but just really being mindful of, if it's dark outside, do I need to be in bright lights? Or should I like really focus on my circadian rhythm, which I talked about in a previous episode. I think it was the one on seasonal depression, if I remember correctly. But just following that more and doing things that help me sleep better, be less stressed. If you constantly have a certain amount of light hitting you, I feel yucky. So doing that. Being more gentle with myself. If things don't go my way, if things don't work out the way I wanted to, it's not an opportunity to beat myself up. It's an opportunity to learn something. Maybe things were meant to go that way. That's a big thing for me. If I'm ever late, because I hate being late. It's a huge thing for me. I hate being late. If I am ever late or if I leave later, I always tell myself that it happened for a reason. And this is kind of dark, but one time someone told me that the reason that happened is not to hurt you. Maybe God or the universe or whatever you believe in was protecting you from something like a car accident or something bad that could have happened had you left at that right time. And so I like to think that when something goes wrong, it's because the universe or God or, again, whatever you believe in was protecting you from something even worse happening. And it's just a comforting thought. So kind of adopting that, not just when I'm late, but when things go wrong, like, oh, that happened because something even better is in store for me, or it was protecting me from something that was not meant for me, or that would have just hurt me in my life path even more. So just being gentle on myself and, if I need to sleep, allowing myself to sleep and not being mad or guilty because of it. Or feeling guilty, not just being guilty. Not stressing over things that no longer matter. This is so weird. You guys are going to be like, what? But fake it till you make it with this. I just kept telling myself, that doesn't bother me. I'm not stressed about that. That's not a big deal. And eventually it became true, and I genuinely don't care. Fake it till you make it. Just tell yourself, if something is small, because there were things that I'm like, I know this is small, but it really bothers me, and it would annoy me for the rest of the day. And I just started telling myself, I'm fine. I have bigger things to worry about. No, don't tell yourself that, because you shouldn't be worrying. I know, I'm learning. I keep catching myself. That's something I'm learning to correct and affirm a positive thing. But I've just been affirming more positive things. Like, if something is really petty and I shouldn't be caught up on it, I'll just be like, that's not a big deal. My life is amazing. I'm great. And then eventually, things don't bother me. People expect me to get upset, and they'll be like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. They'll be like, are you sure? Are you being sarcastic? And I'm like, no, genuinely, I'm good. So that is one thing that I have been really doing, and weirdly, it just switched a switch flipped in my brain one night, and I've just been fine, genuinely. On that same token, though, I did have an anxiety attack last night, and going with being more gentle on yourself, If you need to cry or be stressed, let yourself have that moment. Don't try and stop yourself. This isn't about stopping yourself from being negative or having a bad day. This is just about ways to kind of mitigate the bad days, but don't pretend they're not happening. Taking on a more positive outlook on life, kind of like I just mentioned with the affirmations, telling myself that everything is fine. Everything's not just fine, it's going better than I thought it would. Things are always working out better than I originally expected. And I have such a beautiful life. I get to do such amazing things. I genuinely just romanticize my life. Like today, I got up, I went to work, worked 8 to 5, came home, or went to Kroger and got vegetables and flowers and then came home. Does that sound particularly exciting? No. But I reframed it and said, wow, I get to drive my vintage truck to work where, in my cute floral skirt with my very, very cozy sweater, where I get to drink tea, listen to a podcast while I work. I get to see friends and connect with people. And I came home for lunch, sat outside with some oatmeal and got to watch the dogs play, listen to the birds chirp, which is one of my favorite things, is just listening to the outside sounds. I crocheted and got to really just appreciate the moment. And then I went back to work where I got to do the same thing, drink more tea, drink coffee, see my friends. And then I got the opportunity to go to Kroger and buy some flowers for my house, which brightens it up and makes me happy. I got to buy vegetables, which not only give my bunnies a more healthy lifestyle, but I did get some fruits and vegetables for myself as well, which makes me eat cleaner. And I'm just so blessed to be able to do that. Watch the sunset as I'm driving home again in my beautiful vintage truck that's actually Josh's that I'm borrowing, but that's neither here nor there. And now I get to sit here in my cozy chair in my beautiful office and tell you all the ways that I am just truly enjoying soft living. Doesn't that sound so much better than what I originally told you? And just telling myself that, being like, wow, this moment is so great. I'm driving home looking at the sunset. Wow, I get to choose flowers. This is so exciting. And just hyping myself up because I genuinely feel that way. I love picking out flowers. I love watching the sunset. And reminding myself of those little things is just so great and makes everything a little bit better. You're also going to have started expecting for good things to happen. I just expect for the best possible outcome at all times. I'm like, yeah, the best possible outcome is going to happen here. The best thing that can possibly happen is going to. I trust that. I know that God wants the best possible thing for me in this moment to come true because he loves me. And if it's not the best possible thing, it actually is because I'm learning a lesson that's going to further me down the road. So having a positive outlook and just expecting the best thing that can happen for you to happen and trusting that it's going to. Not just expecting it, but trusting that it's going to. It just really comforts you and lets you know that, like, you're going to be fine no matter what. It may not feel like it in the moment, but we're in the long game here. We're not playing for a moment. We're in the long game. So things may not be good in this second, but in the long run, you have the whole span of your lifetime for amazing things to happen, and 1 second is not going to outweigh the life of amazing things that you're going to accomplish, be around, and do. Another thing is I'm prioritizing self-care as well as seeing my family and friends. I've really been valuing time over gifts or money or things, material things. Time is my love language, like how I enjoy receiving love. So this is kind of easy for me. I've just really been giving myself back love in the form of whatever my love language is. So if yours is gift giving, maybe that may be what makes you feel like you're living a soft life. But time is just something that you do only have an extended amount, but it's not like money where you only have $10. You don't know how much time you have. So it almost feels unlimited in the sense that you can give it away more freely. And I think that when it comes to family or friends, it's something that you should give freely. I mean, obviously set boundaries. I'm not saying to not set boundaries. And there's certain family that you should ignore, whatever. Don't don't feel like you need to spend time with toxic people. However, I was prioritizing work over family and friends, and I should not do that. So that's where I'm coming from with it. Next is tend to my plants, just watering my plants, looking at my plants, making sure they're good, spending time outside. Very simple, but very effective. Continuing with that thought, loving the natural world, being around my animals, being outdoors, just embracing nature and the beauty that it is, looking out the window, opening my window and letting the sounds just kind of come in. I just love nature, and I feel more, as an earth sign, honestly, I feel more grounded when I'm around nature. So just really leaning into that. And the last thing I have on my list of examples, I'm definitely doing more than just this, but it's kind of what I thought of in the moment, is working out or meditating. So I am trying to live more healthy, but going to the gym and working out, it doesn't seem like a very romantic thing, but the act of coming home and showering and self-care, that extended self-care because I'm sweaty and gross, and feeling proud of myself, building confidence in myself and my discipline, and, fulfilling those achievements, knowing that it's good for me, my body feels better. That's why I really enjoy working out. And then when it comes to meditating, just clearing my head. I have so much going on at all times, and when I meditate, it allows me to clear my head. It also just is kind of like hitting the reset button. I want to start trying cold showers because I've heard that resets you too, but meditating just resets me. It makes me feel calm. It just makes me less stressed, and I feel like that's a big part of soft living. So that is pretty much everything I have in my notes. Let me know what your thoughts on soft living are, if you are a fan, if you are not really, if you want to adopt it, what things you're doing to adopt soft living. I want to hear all of the tea. I would love to talk to you about it. But that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok and Instagram at thatgirlthepod. Please leave a rating and a review. It helps out the podcast so much, you guys. Like, so much. It helps us grow. It helps more people see it. You pop up those rankings, and for some reason it starts recommending it more, or the podcast more, and that helps us out so much because I would love for our community of girlies to grow. We're just so encouraging. You guys are my world, and I love you so much. Don't forget, on the same note, to share on your Instagram stories or whatever stories you're feeling, and if it is on Instagram, to tag me because I will obviously share it. I love when you guys do that. It makes my heart so happy to know that you are enjoying the podcast and you love it as much as I do. I think that's pretty much it. I upload every Wednesday and Sunday. If you're watching this on Wednesday, I hope you have a great night. If you're watching this on any other day, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or night. I love you so much, and I will see you in my next podcast episode. All right, bye guys.